'Cause my crew will jam to abandoned buildings. Sees an empty cup we fill 'em. I keep my circle tight, vibe just right with my six string singing all night. Gender, faith, color, or lover, don't matter one way or other. No complaints from music softer. Thanking God for that, for news dad is a doctor. My crew doesn't quit.
Welcome everyone to the Eve Growing System Concepts. Today's video is going to be about composting rolls, and I want to dedicate it to the Worm Composting UK. I got it right. In my live feed, I could not think of that name because I think I get confused with Newell's World Composting, Worm Composting, something like that. It's going through my head as I'm talking live. When I talk live, I get all confused and I ramble like I'm doing now, and I got to stay on track. It's very important because these videos can get too long. The attention span of most YouTubers, including myself, if that, is 3 minutes. I can't even stay that long, and mine always go 15 minutes. This one, I have no doubt, will go 15 minutes because we're going to be opening up some fermenting bins. I have, I think, 3 of them. I'm going to open them up. We're going to see what's inside. And I haven't even looked at these. Once I pack these, it's 4 weeks. Now, I used to do 8 weeks when I first started out. But the reason why I do 4 now is because there's less chance for failure when you do 4 weeks. Because sometimes these buckets can get, or my old design, if I went 8 weeks, sometimes the bucket would go rancid in my old design. So this design has been working beautifully. I've retrofitted all my fermenting bins to this new design. This design is certainly not easier than your traditional systems that are out there. Way back when I started collecting buckets and I didn't know what to do with them, I used to find them in dumpsters. I'm a dumpster diver. And I'd find these buckets every morning I'd bring my kids to school right around the corner, right? And I'd go to these 2 dumpsters right around our house. And to my surprise, there was like tons of buckets. I'm talking thousands of buckets in the course of the year. And it started out for me just to see how many people are throwing and wasting away. And then I'm thinking, who doesn't need a bucket? There's so many, especially these buckets. They're 90 millimeters thick. And if you're ever going to get into fermenting, get the 90 millimeters thick, only because they will hold up in the cold weather. I've had these out for many years, 5 years. Tell you something, it lasts a long time. They're rugged buckets. Don't waste your time with the 70 mil. Stick with 90 mil if you're going to find buckets. And a great place to get them is you can use sheetrock buckets. People are doing sheetrock all the time. Those are food grade buckets. Look at the bottom. If it has a 2, that's a food grade bucket. So, of course, this video is going to be longer because I'm rambling on. So anyways, all these are dated with the time to open. Like this is 5/20, so I packed it on 4/20, so a month later. And one beautiful thing about fermenting is, folks, is you can experiment with all kinds of different stuff, as I've been doing. I've packed roadkill in here with great results, turning a roadkill, a full raccoon or a full possum, into worm castings. And when I first started out, this was a big turnoff, the stuff I was fermenting way back when, to many worm Facebook groups. That was a big turnoff for them, understandably. These are the no-nos, folks. And here with Eve Growing, we do ferment or do vermiculture. We do the no-nos. In our hot composting, we do the no-nos because with the CBCB, it's a carbon-based composting bin, right, with just liquid slurry. My liquid slurry goes into my hot composting, and all our compost gets fed to our red wigglers through this system, through fermenting system first and foremost. And I used to do my humanure in these fermenting. For a couple of years I did humanure in these with great results, and that's where I got my 8 weeks till completion, because these worms, they love humanure. They love humanure as much as they love their pumpkin or their squash or whatever else you could think of that they love. They turn it into castings. It's an amazing thing. It's a great little secret. You know, Joseph Jenkins has been processing his humanure with his hot composting for many years and using it in his garden, and he does it in his vegetables and stuff as well. For myself, I've been only doing my 2 castings in my flower beds for now. And which is enough. From when I started with the continuous flow system, prototype number 1, I'm on to my prototype number 2 now, which I think is going to be amazing as far as processing humanure. This was amazing, but there's too many parts. There's too many buckets, and it's confusing to people. If you had one bin that you put your deposits in, and that's all you had to worry about without juggling all these around, I think the average person who just wants to process their twos, this system is going to be great. This continuous flow system, I doubt it's going to be a great way for people to process their human, or especially those people in India or in LA where the homeless population is. I think there's a way we can safely handle our twos where it doesn't cost society so much money to run all the sewer and stuff like that. Again, Mark, you're getting off the subject at hand. So this system, of course, each bucket here is tied into each other. They're separate, but the drainage system goes all the way down to the bottom and across to a place where it collects all the liquid. Now, I don't get any liquid because I kind of pack my bins somewhat dry. A lot of moisture remains in here. And some people ask, do I add water to my bins? I do not add water. I believe the compost rolls that I'm adding in there has enough moisture within inside. This contains that moisture, and I feel that the moisture that the worms create themselves through the moisture that's in these rolls, I think that's enough for them to survive. Not that I think, I know it is, because I've been going through many cycles, 4 years now, that I've been doing Vernmenting and experimenting with bucket. Again, it's everything. Our house compost starts at our kitchen sink, where we put everything in it. There is nothing that is necessarily off limits. I found one thing that was, remember in the last video I said it was chocolate. It's not chocolate, of course. Especially a ham meal I've tried with poor results because it takes too long. I think if you let the ham dry out maybe first and then put it in there. But the truth of it is, what I've been doing with the ham is mincing it up and adding it to my liquid slurry. And what little ham we do eat goes to the hot composting, because I think the salt and stuff in this ham is not very good. And I did do a lot of ham, so maybe that wasn't good, in a couple bins. And the progress in those bins was very slow, and there was just something in it that you could tell when you opened it. And we might find some of those today, some residuals of the ham I did way back when. Time is flying by. When you start doing Vernmenting and you go with the months, it goes by so fast. The months, May 20th is going to come very quickly. And that's when that one will be open. Today we're going to be working on 4/23. So it is April 23rd today, 2020, and we are going to open a couple of bins. And this video, I'm already at 8 minutes, and I haven't even started yet. So here's what we do. First of all, everything in our house, everything, if it's organic, it either goes to our hot composting outside or it gets fed to our red wigglers right down here in our basement. There's no smell down here. We do get the same the vermin that come into any worm farm. We get the same. We get our springtails, we get our potworms, we get those damn sap beetles, and those what are those damn, those flies, not the fruit fly, I get those too. They're not getting in from the bucket themselves, they're getting in from the material I put in here, and then they lay their eggs, and then it keeps going on and on. Now, for the most part, they're not. Most of these critters aren't bothersome. The ones that fly out of your face, out of the buckets, are. And we've talked about this on our Facebook link. Again, this video is dedicated to Worm Composting UK, that Facebook group, and my Vernmenting group. We talk all about stuff like this, the bugs that fly in your face. And material always has to be covered when you're dealing with it. So we're at my kitchen sink where we put stuff in a littler composting thing, and then we have a dog bucket that our dog food is on. You lift that up and we throw our scraps in there. From there, I take it downstairs, and there's a lot of liquid in that bucket as well, because everything goes in there. Pasta water, excess coffee water, urine goes in there. When I'm upstairs, I'm not going to just let my urine go into the water supply. I'm going to add that too as a nitrogen to help heat up my CBCB. After I put that in a 5-gallon mesh strainer, I let it strain for a couple days, and you keep it covered, because you don't, those fruit flies, they'll get in there, they'll lay their eggs, and you'll find their babies come out in your face later on in life. We're going to see that probably when I open these up. We'll see. These bins we're going to open for the first time. I haven't looked at them since I packed them. So what I see, you're going to see, good or bad. We're going to be honest about this here. I've had Vernmenting bins, as you guys have seen in some of my, on the Facebook, that have gone bad. I had 7 of them. Here's the deal with these composting rolls. I've packed them. I pack them different these days. And we'll talk about that as I go through the video. I pack them differently, loosely. I used to pack them tight. I tried to fit as many as I can. I'd put my Duff on top and my 2000 Reds on there, and I'd wait 8 weeks until they're done. So they had to be, whatever was in there, they had to eat it or die. And sometimes I made a mistake. You can, which is a great little mistake if you use it right, for people who have outside bins. If you pack your carbon, this is another composting roll advantage. If you pack your carbon and your nitrogen and you tightly pack it, that roll will heat up nicely. It'll go over 100 degrees, and this is good if you have outside bins. You put 5 of those in your big outside bins, they'll heat up. Do that every week. Pack it in, and that could get your outside worm bins through the winter. And we got a couple other ideas how we're going to heat up using a CBCB to heat worm farms and greenhouses. That's another video. I don't want to get too far off the subject. Now, so I loosely pack them. I put 4 rolls, 4. So 12 rolls is usually the norm, loosely packed, plus the stuff that hasn't been used in the last Vernmenting bin goes in there. That helps inoculate the bin. And I've been experimenting with cotton t-shirts loosely put in these bins. Like if I don't have enough food and I've got a bin right that's halfway full, I'll throw a cotton t-shirt in there, and I'm finding that they're laying eggs, or I'm finding more eggs or cocoons in this cotton. So I'm also breaking down cotton t-shirts. And they don't have to be totally cotton. If they're 50-50, put them in there. Whatever's left, that stringy stuff, whatever isn't organic, you just take it out and you throw it away. The worms will take the 50% and eat it. So let's open up a couple bins right now. All right, so now that my furnace is a little quiet, sometimes that furnace kicks on, and that's where the sound comes from. I do all my Vernmenting in my basement, as you know. So we're going to open up the first bin here. I haven't opened this cover up yet, and hopefully nothing will come flying out, but I did get a ton of those, not the fruit flies, I'll put the name lower, but they call them casket flies or some damn thing. But I got them when I tried to do this, I think. I was trying to do some hay to try to introduce more babies. Okay, so you can see some in there. I did grass one time, and I think that's how these fruit flies, they're not necessarily fruit flies, they're faster than fruit flies. And they're irritating. I've had more where they come flying out. Sometimes what they do is they fly out, and if I had sticky paper on this back wall, they like to go on this wall right when they come out. And so if I had sticky paper there, they'd get stuck right onto there. But they're easy to kill, and I got a ton of spiders down, baby spiders that need to eat too, so I don't necessarily mind them. You can bang it with your hand. Oh, I just forgot this little guy here. Come here, you. All right. I'll put you right in the tray. All the other guys, see, you see them, and then they're easy to kill when they first come out. But again, okay, that's what the bottom looks like, and I'll show you how I clean out that bucket. So basically, when you dump stuff out like this, you want to have another bucket on hand to put all the stuff that's not quite complete in there. This bin looks pretty darn good. This was basically the subfloor. You don't need much, guys, to keep the material off the bottom. And you want every worm bin you have, in my personal opinion, you want to have at least a little spot, aeration down below where the worms can kind of go. The internal aeration tube. Okay. And let's spread this out. This has the grass in it. You see, I tried to get more eggs with this grass. Same with the t-shirt idea. And I think what I did was introduce some of these damn flies into my stuff here. So this grass here, since it's already been through one, I'm going to put that into the next fermenting bin. Something like this, that goes right into the next fermenting bin. Not a great rush to get those castings. About 3 bins gives me a 6 gallons worth of castings these days. All this stuff will go right into the next bin, next bin, next bin. All this grass stuff, I'm not doing this anymore with the grass. I'm mincing that up and adding that into my carbon source is what I'll do with this. But this is the high grass that I have all over my yard. And I thought this would help stimulate. But I think what happened is some kind of insect into these little bases and lays their eggs. And when I put them in my bins, that's when they start coming out. This top is basically just to add this a little taller. I use everything that's around. I add that just to make it, get it right up to the top of the bucket. These things. And, you know, as I find new, better tubes, I'll start using them. But this works good. I like the diameter of this one. I don't necessarily need to put paper towel around this, but with the bigger ones, like I have some like this one here. Let me see if so I have these two that I did work with right here. In this can here. And of course, the cat litter can, Invincible, made of aluminum. I put that to there. So there. So whatever's left, these are all going back in. What happened to all the worms that were there? They certainly know how to hide. This stuff's all going back into the next bin, next bin, next bin. Now we're getting to some of the stuff we can keep. All right, this is finished castings. Now we're getting over here, all right? Let's see here. These are all finished castings right here. Some have more, some have less. All right, and all this stuff. Let's put these over here like that. And this stuff here, okay, that'll all go there. Boom, boom. All right. See these little guys here. I get some of these guys. I think they're sap beetles, big sap beetles, that long one. I kill them, but none of them seem to harm them. I think I got these little guys when I tried to do cow manure, that I got cow patties that I did way back when. I think they were in the cow patties. They start little. I don't know if you could see them down here, but any vermin you see so far haven't been detrimental to the colony, the worm colony. Right? As many seasoned worm farmers will tell you. Now let's clean this bucket up. I'll show you how easy that is. I have a bunch of these cards here, and basically I love doing this because it's like going to get your, this is all pure castings here, right? I love doing this part, cleaning it. This still is an older bin because I don't do it like this anymore. This shouldn't even be there, but sometimes I let it go through and I think I'll get it next time. Basically, all this nice casting crumb, right? Look at that. Looks like cake batter, doesn't it? That's all pure castings here, guys. So, and here's the reason why you want to make these top ones just about 1/2 inch so you don't hurt any of the worms on there. So, see them how they go under there? This bin smells amazing. You could tell when they don't, when it gets rancid. Since I've come to this new system here, it very rarely gets that anaerobic smell. It's always smells, you could tell when it's rancid. And mine used to get that when I used to go the 8 weeks. Many times I'd have them, the worms would still be alive, but it's like I wasn't getting much cocoon action. They didn't seem that healthy. These days my worms are looking really good. And I'm not saying all my bins, old bins, were like that. Some did good, depending how I packed it. But now that I go 4 weeks, there's less chance for this anaerobic to happen. Now I have 4 air holes at the bottom. I never used to have that. I used to have only 2. And I'll show you how I do my composting rolls, which I think are helping as well. So that's basically how you clean it out. If there's any couple little worms in there, you don't have to get them because they are going to go right into the next one. Let's see. Now, basically what I do here is I grab my cat can. That goes to protect the drain. And then I put my subfloor. My subfloor down like that. All right. Put my subfloor down like that. Nothing, whatever material you have available, folks, this will be enough to keep it off. You know how I know that'll be enough? Because I use these as my little incubators too. For my finished castings go into a fermenting bin as well, where I just put newspaper at the bottom of that, and I'll put my castings in there. I'll let them sit for a while. That's when they really get finished off. In the nursery section, when those babies hatch, if I don't use it for 2 months or whatever like that. All right, so I put the subfloor down. Then I kind of fold it like this, right? And I rip a tire or cut it off the corner so there's a little hole right in the middle for the aeration tube to go like that, right? Then I put my aeration tube, and this time I'm going to use, where is that one? I'm going to use this guy right here. And that's the aeration tube, and I'm going to put all this stuff that isn't quite finished yet in there. Now, I'm not going to wrap this tube with paper because I feel I'll be able to. You know what, that's okay. This is going to be like this. All this stuff's going to go right back in to help inoculate it, and there's worms in there too. All right, all that stuff's going to go in. Now here I'll usually add a couple. Let's see here. Like that. Oh, this will go in here. This guy's like this. I don't like this hay at all, but I'm going to just keep it going in there. Right? All this. Now, there's a lot of worms in those rolls as well. Put that all in here. And then I'll add some fresh composting rolls to there now. Like this. And all this is going to go in there. Boom, boom. There. Oh, you guys. What is it? Runners. My pains. I call them my pains. My pains with an E. My Thomas pains. Those who want to go venture on to different things. You're much better off here, my friends. All right. Now, that's the first one. Right? Now I'm going to empty another one. And that stuff, used material, is going to go in here as well. So anything I'm taking from this pile here is going right into that bucket. Now let's open another one. All right, here's another 424. I'm going to open up. And this material, old material, is going to go into this other one as well. Every 4 weeks, I don't look at it. That's what Vernmenting's all about. Pack it, leave it. Nothing gets in, nothing gets out. But that's not saying that. Now, see, you'll notice, Mark, for nothing getting in, you still get your same vermin that get in there. I could see some mites there. You know, I'm seeing less springtails, the better. This is an updated bucket, totally, because I have these Gatorade fittings, aeration fittings. That's what we're going to call these guys. Right? Storage ran out. I had to free up some space in my storage, so you didn't get to see that dumping out part of it, and that's too bad. I might have another bin here that we can do, but I ran out of storage. Anyway, let's see here. So this one's here. So all the stuff. Now this one I'll clean out. You see how I clean that one out? Now we're going to get the one that we've already put some of the used stuff in. And we're going to add this stuff. Look at all the, these guys are all inside here. So I'm just going to put this right back in here. Like this. All the stuff that doesn't seem to be done. I'm in no great rush. See, there's some cotton there. And we'll look and see if I have some eggs in that one. Cocoons, I should say. Here's the tube. I did surround this tube with a cotton cloth. By the way, that one looked good too. There was no anaerobic smell there. I see a lot of mites that are hanging on there. That's all that was, guys. And here's a cotton shirt. So I got some of these fly larvae in there. So that'll go into the next bin. So when I open it up. But this is breaking down nice. They're really loving that. I'll put that right into this next one here. And now this one here's got a few. Still working on that one in there. So I got some, I see a lot of larvae in there from those flies in that one. But that's all right, guys. Hopefully they'll die as I pack. This is going to all go right back into here. This is all going to go back into the next fermenting bin. So this fermenting bin that I'm packing right now is going to have all old material. So the next time I opened it up, it'll be more castings than it is material because it's almost there. This is all inoculated material. So this bin will have no problem with the next time I open it up, except for those darn flies. Now let's take a look at this. And you can see a lot of these larvae there. We don't like those, but the worms, I don't see many cocoons on here, so unless they're affecting him that way, that's all going to go back. And the rest of this, all this heavy stuff will go right back into here like this. Boom, boom, boom. All right, let's see, this is all castings for the most part. There is some paper, a little bit of paper in here. The worms have eaten the rolls inside out, so I got some shell in there that I've been throwing back and forth. Now what I'll do with this particular bin that I'm working on here, let me get all these worms out of the way. You guys go over here. Let me just put this here so you can see. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pack it. I'm going to go to the side over here. Can you see me? Where some of the worms have gone down below. And I'm going to just put that up here like this. I don't know how many worms are in each. I like to think there's 2,000 each. Okay, see, if I wrap this with paper, this stuff wouldn't be falling in it, but I didn't, so I think it'll be fine. Sometimes I'll do, sometimes I don't. This is ready. I'm going to cap this, I'm going to date it, and I will not open that for another 4 weeks. For there. Now, on the new one, that's what it should look like at the end. Doesn't it look nice? See all that awesome worm crumb, I call it, because it's just so amazing. Very easy to clean these. Again, I can't stress enough, if you're going to get into buckets or fermenting at all, get the 90 millimeter. Don't waste your time with anything else. There's enough of them out there. And I take that's all nice looking crumb, right? Put that in the finished pile. Each bucket you open is like its own little Christmas gift. Your own little world. You know how people like to see worms? You get to see that every 4 weeks. You know how you see a colony of worms all together? Well, with fermenting, you get to see that a lot because you're always opening. I'm opening buckets like this like 3 times a month. I'll open 4 or 5 bins, depending on what the date is on them. All right, I'm in an awkward position to clean this because I'm just trying to see how you got a little room under here. Worms like to hide under there, and you don't want to squish them. See that? So, like that. And then this is pretty clean. And when you're done, make sure all your screens are closed and tight. And these look good. This is one of the newer models there is. So, there. Now I'll put the same thing. I'll put the can at the bottom here. Oh, sorry, worms. Hope I don't crush anybody. There. Subfloor. Paper over that. Look at that subfloor. I mean, there's nothing to it, guys. That will hold the material up. I put my subfloor. That. Subfloor paper. Usually I have scissors on me to cut that, but That'll go right like that at the bottom. Boom. And then we have this. Now this time I'm going to use a fine layer, because this new bin is going to have more new material in it than old material, right? Wrap it like that. And I'll set that in like that, so it looks kind of like this. And then, you know, if I don't have any, now all this will go at the bottom of this one. Help inoculate it. Okay, like that. Boom. Now see, if I wanted to use this stuff in my garden, I still could, because all this paper is great wicking, great aeration in there, so I could use it as it's done. Would I sell castings like this at the stage? No, I would not sell them at the stage, because it's not the quality castings you could get. But after they go through the nursery stage, and I'll show you that, once you go through the nursery stage, that's good castings. But look at that. This is no smell. I've turned everything there is in your house compost. I've, instead of bagging it and throwing it in the trash. So that's 2 buckets, guys, worth of castings for the most part. And again, I'll try to get out as much as the paper as I can, throw it in the next bin. That'll be castings next time I open it. So let's go. I might have another bucket, so let me go and see if I can't get another bucket in there. Okay, I do have another one. So I'm going to be opening 3 today. I think, maybe 2 more I got here. All right, so look at this. Opening for the first time, guys. No secrets here. Whatever comes out, comes out. Again, Vernmenting gets the vermin just like everybody else gets them. It comes in through the material you're composting. You got to be vigilant with it if you want to get rid of these. All right. That looks pretty good. Let's dump her out. Where are all the worms? I see a couple of those little fast-moving fruit fly things, chicken wings. Like that. All right. That one smells good. You can tell when it smells good. I'll put this one aside and fill this one up. We're doing here. This is going to go into the last one we just opened up. This one's set on the side. I have some cotton t-shirts here. Sometimes they like to clog this thing up. That's all right. That's all pure castings there, guys. All right, now all this excess stuff will go right in here. And this is like a t-shirt right here. Look at it, eggs here. There's one cocoon, excuse me. Just one mark. My eyes are getting so bad the older I get. But look at, this is a towel that I put in here as well. And let's see, they really went to town on this towel. See it? Look at that. And all, of course, the elastic part of the towel, they didn't get at. This was a full towel when I put it in here, guys. And so now I'm composting clothes. Clothes that t-shirts, instead of just throwing them to the Goodwill where people won't buy them, they'll end up in the trash, I feed them to my reds. This whole thing I don't want to mess with this time around, so I'll just put it right in this bucket. And we'll get that last time. That's the beauty about fermenting. You kind of can mess around with all kinds of different ideas that you want to push these worms to the limit without necessarily damaging your whole bin, right? So this stuff is going right back into the next bin. Look at this guy. Look at this t-shirt. All that effort for one cocoon mark. Let's see here. As you can see, here's a baby worm. Got this little sap beetle, I think that's what that is. And these are all the larvae from the flies, Angelo. Right here, these white ones. Whether I don't think it's a fruit fly, they're the scatter flies. That's what I'm trying to think of. So this guy will go right back in, and it's wet, and I'll put that right in as it is. And here is from jeans, jean material. They're going to town with that. This stuff goes right back into the bin. And I'm going to add some of my duck slash, where are you? Some of my duff type stuff I'm going to add it because it's got some grit in here, and it's just a little bit of duff with grit mixed in there. I'll just put on top of there like that, just a light layer. And now this stuff goes in. Okay, now this is dark looking stuff because we got some clothes still in here. Alright, so basically here's a fatty material. This is fatty stuff from lard or whatever. That'll go right back in. Eventually that will disappear and turn into the amazing thing called castings. Okay, this is darker looking. Here's a composting roll that's going right back into the next fermenting bin because it's not ready. And this stuff here, I see an egg here, cocoon there, cocoon. This has got a lot of cocoons in it. How about this one? Did this one? So what I do with this here, all this is going to go into this one here. And eventually, I'll add another bin. All right, let's get all these together like this. Not ready to take the worms out of here. We'll do that. Hopefully I'll show you that. All right. And the stuff, when this goes into the nursery, all this little stuff that I can't get will be castings. Because whatever springtails are left in here, whatever pot worms and little babies that are in here, they'll turn that into castings. Remember, those pot worms are worms in their own right. So whatever little deposits they're making, I assume they're just like the red wiggler. So you don't want too many of them because it makes it a wet bin. But don't be discouraged if you have them, because again, that's just like having another red wiggler, getting even the smaller particles. Who knows? Maybe they're the actual ones that are getting rid of the pathogens. The reds, you know. They say vermiculture does kill pathogens. Well, what if it's not the worms? What if it's the little insects that are in there? All right, so that's, how many? That's 3 bins, right? Let's go for 4 here. And, you know, I'll clean that one out later, because we're still filling this one up here. And this is my last one of the month, this bin right here, before I start with May's opening. Got a couple of May 3rd that I'll have to be opening up. About four I got it scheduled. 3 times, oh, sorry about that. I opened that without you guys seeing it. I already opened it. That's what it looks like. Look at these. Now I got a ton of these in here. All right, these are these scatter flies, not fruit flies. And I also see these little guys here, these little mite things, faster mites. You know, I almost am tempted of opening this outside. Sometimes I do. If they get this many, I'll open. Look at them all coming out. I'm not worried about down here. This is an enclosed part of the basement where I have, let's see, if I had some kind of sticky stuff on here that'd go right on here. I'm going to invent something like that. But see, Angelo, I get those too in my fermenting bins. And you'd think if nothing gets in, nothing gets out, then how the hell did they get in there? It only takes one little nick in the screen for one to get in there and breed. These guys are coming out like crazy. Anyways, let's see what the worm looks like. See, this was grass too, guys, and that's why. That's what the bottom looks like. Now there's no anaerobic smell in there, but there's the potential. If I would have went the 8 weeks, I bet you this one wouldn't have done so well. But it's the grass, guys. I'm not liking the grass. I'm not liking the grass at all. But I'm gonna put it into the next bin because it's already been there. Eventually, everything gets turned into castings. This one I'll just leave the stuff on there and use that for the next bin here. Did the grass help? Did I stimulate cocoons? No. It's not worth it with all these damn little scatter flies all around the place. So I'll be stopping with that practice. There's no more grass in my Vernmenting, in any of mine. I don't do grass anymore. These things, these egg crates are a great way to add moisture to your bins. I usually wet these and to put them into, that's how I get some water in there. This was the bottom of the last bin. All right, let's see how this did. This one, some do good, better than others. There they are. All these guys are mingling with these other stupid, dumb scatter fly things that hopefully they'll die out when I pack bins as I go on. We'll see. But Vernmenting gets the same stuff, guys. There's nothing that would stop that. The more you do vermiculture, the more you start going to get these little, I call them, okay. All this stuff is going to go on top. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Now you're probably saying to yourself, Mark, you didn't add all those three. You didn't add any new material to any of those. And you're right. I didn't. But the next bin I pack, which I'll show you, I will be adding all the stuff. All the new material. So that'll be packing that one bin that still remains. Or no, I have two bins that are going to get basically new material in it. And all the worms that I put into these already, into here already, I won't add any more. So a lot of those worms, of course, are left in here. I'll take a little bit of these guys. I'll add these worms to there, I guess, as a top. So I'm going to cap it like that and then add 4 weeks to that. There should be enough worms in there. All right, now this is a brand new one here that we're going to be starting with. Okay, this is, and we'll be putting a lot of worms in this one. And this is basically how I pack a fresh bin. I got my minced compost over here, which again includes everything you can think of except ham these days. And what I'm going to do for the bottom here is this is my duff material. This is the stuff that I use as my bedding for the most part. And who knows what little critters are on here. But I usually put a little of this on the bottom. And then for the composting roll, there's a couple ways I do composting rolls. When I fill up a Vernmenting bin, I usually do a very loose roll. I get a ton like that. And let's just go like this. I used to pack like tons of rolls, real tight. And I found that this works just good. So you want to get this stuff. And this is a lot of compost, guys. Talk about overfeeding. Just like that. And I'll put 4 rolls like this. And again, this is enough moisture. I won't need to add anything else. This will be plenty of moisture for this bin. And as you can see, there's shrimp tails in here as well. We've talked about that. The worms love shellfish. They love lobster tails. With the meat out of them, though. Don't ever give them the meat. We love our worms. We don't love them that much, do we? Okay, there's 4, and then I'll add another layer of this stuff here. Just a little bit. And then, I mean, this is how I just loosely pack it like that. And I use 2-ply like that. I don't know what we'll do if we don't have newspaper. I don't buy it myself. I get it from my neighbors, all my newspaper. And I got 2 buckets I gotta use. this compost here. Look at that. That's a whole lot of compost, folks. Yeah. I don't know if I have 4 there, but... And I'll... You don't want to pack them too tight because the carbon-nitrogen ratio is there, but you don't want to get them hot. And so far I've been doing pretty good. And look at all the paper we're recycling. See, this has got nitrogen, and our napkins go in there too. So that is a carbon, the napkins. So sometimes that could be enough to heat them up, especially if you pack them tight, like I used to do. Now, with my 2 rolls, I do pack them up wicked tight. Because I'm not worried about them. They sit in a container before I feed them to my reds anyway. So don't worry about that. And the ones that I plant in planters, I pack them tight. I pack them loose in Vernmenting bins. All right, now the rest of this is going to be leftover castings because that'll give the worms a chance to see if they want to even go in there, or I'll give them time to decide. I'll add some of this on there, boom, and now we'll get our worms back here. Am I still going? Good. Okay, so I have enough. That's for the next bin. That's not enough for a bin, really. Let's back up like this. And what I'll do here is excuse the mess back here. What I'll do here is, this one's been sitting for a while, so there's plenty of worms right under here that I will get. I'm going to put a lot of this stuff right on top of here, like this. All right, so that is going to be all these guys. I'm going to throw in here too. That goes in there. See some of the stuff here, and all these worms. And as I go through to the bottom, when I start doing the worms, because these worms that are in here are going to have to go separated between the 2 other bins that I have. So my next bin, I don't have enough food, really. But I still want it to work. So what I'm going to do is, this one I'm going to add more worms to, because it's all pure compost right there, right? So we'll add a ton more worms to that one as I go down below. That'll be another video how I take all these worms out. Basically, the worms don't like the light, so they go down deeper, and as they go down, you just take it off. And we'll do another video, a short video, to do that one, because I have a feeling this video here is going to be a long one. All right, so I have one more bin. I have one more bin here that has to be filled. I'm going to fill it similar to that, the way I did that last one, and I'm going to put probably an old t-shirt in there because I don't have enough food for them to eat, so I'll put an old t-shirt in there. Okay, we're down to the last of it here. This is 4 bins. Now, it certainly is not a 6 gallons worth of castings in that, and that's on an average. When I said 3 bins usually gets me 6 gallons worth of castings, this one was 4 bins, and I've got probably not even 6 gallons here. And not so good at getting these worms out either, Mikey. But I see a lot of eggs in here, like a real lot, from when I started. For some reason, one of the bins had a lot of eggs in it. So this is all going to go into a nursery. Let's see, now we're almost down to the end. And I've got one last one to fill. And I think all these castings here, I might just throw right into the next bin because it has a ton of worms in there. And let's see. They all went down to the bottom, so all these guys are going to go right in this bin here like that. I might put something else to feed on because I'm almost to the top of this bin, but let me put all these right in here. Okay, so this is it, guys. This is what I got out of all those 4. See how good I did with my getting the worms out. You know, you don't get them all, but they just get stuck in the nursery for a couple of months. They'll do fine in there. Again, we've rendered whatever gross compost, we've rendered it into castings right now. We've taken care of it on our own. We didn't have to send it out in mini plastic bags. You know how some people, you get all this gross material from your doing your food preparation and all that, and whatever else you do, all that gross material, instead of, you know, you put it in your trash can, you put it in other plastic so it doesn't stink. Well, with our system, we just put it in a bucket and put a top on it. And then come down here. This is what it looks like when we're all said and done. There's an earth smell here. That's all it is. And this gets better and better. Now this, I'll put in a bucket that I've already got some castings in. Oh, right here. This is another fermenting bin. Again, they make great. See, this plastic stuff, I'm not doing that again. Didn't break down like I thought it would. I'll do a video on that. But this all goes in here. Bet you I could fit it all in here too. You go in here, buddy. And then I'll put a composting roll in here. And any babies hatch will go in there, and I'll add that composting roll to my fermenting bin. Like that. You worms go in here. Boom, boom. Okay. End of April. All my bins have been taken care of. Look at how bad I've been. My eyes are getting so bad as I get older. All right. So that is going to get capped with a fermenting bin top. And I stack them just like I would my fermenting bin. I stack them just like that. Oh my God, that is casting so damn heavy. That's how I know the subfloor will hold regular fermenting bin stuff when you got so heavy holding this stuff up. It's all about the can, right? Okay. Date it, and I put it on here for weeks. And the ones that I freshly did, the new ones usually go right at the bottom because they'll have the most leachate. So I don't necessarily want the leachate from here going through all these other bins, even though they can if they had to. I put the newer ones that I just made at the bottom so it goes right to the drain and over to the side. Again, I never have any liquid because I pack my bins dry, all my bins dry. And as you get to learn vermiculture more and more, you'll find, like many of us seasoned worm farmers, keeping it dry is probably one of the better ways to go, because the leachate that comes out of here, I'm not too sure it's what people think it is. It's great for your hot composting bin to get the carbon nitrogen heat up, but as far as using it on your plants, I think it's too acidic, personally. But, you know, it's totally isn't worm tea. Worm tea you have to brew with your castings, and that'll be another video. All right, so again, this video is dedicated to Worm Composting UK, a great group. So I ask all my fermenters, I have over 1,000 in my fermenting group, go over to there. They do a lot of great posts, and I post a lot. I spend some time over there as well. I'm so happy to be a part of this group, and I hope that you guys will consider signing up over there. Let's get them over 1,000. At least. I foresee them being one of the #1 worm composting groups on Facebook. So let's try to make that happen. Again, this video is dedicated to Worm Composting UK. That's all I have to say for now. God bless. Over and out.
My family and Papa found caregivers, always somewhere by the fire pit. If your friend and your family had free, if you're foe, then tonight disarm me. My crew has talent and loyalty, and they'll be partying over these royalties. You're damn right. Like my crew doesn't quit.